Better grab those umbrellas, because it's raining at night. Or something. We're ranking the abilities. Let's go. Number 8. Whirlwind. From what I can tell, the Whirlwind attack does about as much damage as a standard R1 from a heavier weapon. The Guardian already comes with Shield Bash, which is usually a strong enough stun to focus down even larger enemies, so I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing with this. Unless you have plans to eventually ditch the shield because you picked up something better, but maybe you still want an easy knockdown tied to a single button. I think it's best to use this as a defensive option, like forcing a heal window for when a teammate is on the verge of dying and has 27 daggers buried in his ass, and just other occasional support-related situations. The Whirlwind feels more purposeful this way instead of using it to engage fights, since other abilities seem to be way better at doing that, including the ultimate ability of the same goddamn bird. Whirlwind just kinda solidifies the idea that if you're a Guardian, you're a team player, through and through. You're the retired football coach watching his friend's 2 kids for the weekend while trying to catch up on Storage Wars episodes. Number 7. Claw Shot. I went in with exceedingly low expectations on this, and I'm glad I did because I only ended up being emphatically impressed with how frequently this came in handy. The 2 most obvious uses are faster traversal and the stunning smaller enemies to line them up for damage, or to just stop them attacking your friends. I didn't even know scarabs were going to be in this game too. I don't really know why, it just wasn't something I was thinking about, but Wylder can hard counter them flawlessly. It can also break guards and smack away shields on soldier enemies, and it can zip you close to larger enemies to close gaps of distance. It's not flashy, and it certainly won't make or break a round in any noticeable way, but it has a fast cooldown and an immediate benefit that gives Wylder a surprising amount of versatility that I don't think you can find on other Nightfarers. Despite everything though, it does feel like he needs the Claw Shot to exist just to compensate for his lack of ranged attacks. I know it's near the bottom of the list, but I don't know, I still like it. It's basic, feels fun, serves its purpose. If you're locked onto an enemy, you can run to the side and the grapple shoots in the direction you're running instead of the enemy, which doesn't really do anything of significance, but it looks cool as shit. Number 6. Soulblood Song. It does require a bit of team coordination to pop this off successfully, because that aura cannot wait to disappear as soon as it's summoned. It's just always late for an appointment or something, and I don't know, it just has places to be. And trying to coordinate with a troop of randos doesn't sound the least bit appealing, so most frequently, you're probably just going to be better off using this for yourself. And if your teammates happen to join in on the fun, then, well, that'll just be a bonus. Using this on a boss is probably a bit too risky, since your teammates are going to be more concerned with learning new movement patterns and trying not to get flattened and booted back to the fucking menu for the 59th time. But if you're approaching the end of the night, you could just find a big enemy and pin him with this for a quick and easy top off as a way to make sure you're as ready as you can be for the nightly boss. Thing is, it's pretty easy to imagine this being extremely useful in a pinch. And if you're actually playing with friends on a passworded server that you're actually, communicating with, then I can easily see this ability single-handedly U-turning the momentum of a match. But if you're queued with randos like 90% of us are probably gonna be, then yeah, no, just consider this a solo ability. Number 5. Onslaught Stake. It's a shitload of damage with a shitload of cooldown. No utility whatsoever. All damage. Just find a guy who's picking his knees up off the ground and bloodborne his bitch ass. I guess if someone is really bad at staying alive and they've maxed out their revive meter or whatever, and you need to deal like a lot of damage at once, then you can just pop them with this, and I'd imagine it would bring them back up immediately. Yeah, no, that's a bad idea. Don't ever. That's holy shit, that's a bad idea. I don't even need to go back and test it on somebody. I just know that's shitty advice. Don't do that. If you can coordinate with your Duchess and have her trigger Restage right after you land the attack, it'll probably mulch anything that isn't the nightly boss. So there you go. There's your tip you probably already thought of. No need to thank me. Number 4. Finale. The Duchess' ultimate ability. You can activate it during a boss fight, and it seems that even if an enemy is aggroed on you, it'll immediately lose sight of you once Finale is activated, and attacking also doesn't bring you out of stealth, which I can see being pretty nifty. I kinda wish I could have dicked around with this a little more, but 3 days of shitting around waiting for the server to boot my ass probably isn't that stringent of a test. I thought this would be suited to clearing out camps and getting rewards as quickly as possible, so you don't have to waste too much time and risk teasing the enclosing border of the map, but you'll need to spend a good deal of the match charging it up first, and even most mini-bosses can be easily cleared out with a bit of teamwork, so using it anywhere outside of the nightly bosses just feels like a waste. I kinda wish it lasted a little longer during those encounters, but I also understand why it doesn't. It's not like the Duchess needs any more help anyways, so. Number 3. Magic Cocktail. I almost don't want to tell people the full range of what this can do, because I think figuring it out is half the fun. There's really no wiki page or walkthrough telling you how to use it, and most of the YouTube videos won't be out until the net artwork test is over, so when the game comes out, you might have to spend a match or two looking like a moron, but once you figure out how the rotation works, I don't think any other skill can match its versatility. 3 magic orbs gives you just a big ol' shit missile of magic damage, 3 fire orbs gives you a giant fire AoE with lingering damage over time, 3 lightning orbs enhances dodging, and you can also release a gravity bomb, turn yourself into a popsicle, you can summon this weird calcifer looking fuck-ass that follows enemies around and does continuous damage, and a bunch of other interesting effects that I've yet to discover. Easily my favorite ability in the whole roster of skills so far. It's nutty as shit, and somehow it nails every aspect. It may not be the best skill insofar as being the fastest at killing shit or whatever, but it's easily the best designed ability. I'm very excited for the remaining 4 characters if this is what I have to look forward to, and I hope whoever concepted it got thrown an office party. That guy probably woke up in a cold sweat at 6 in the morning in such a rush that he spiked the coffee out of his wife's hands on his way out the door. I'd be pumped as fuck. Number 2, Wings of Salvation. Every time I find an opportunity to whip this out, I just fall in love with it even harder. There's nothing really that special about it even. It's kinda just Storm Assault with an aviation degree and an extra pair of nuts, but it plays off some of Nightrein's core mechanics beautifully in ways that other abilities just can't, or at least not reliably. Firstly, it's wonderful that a tank with high HP and a mostly defensive lineup of utilities is still capable of dealing damage. I feel like a lot of games make the mistake of pigeonholing the player roles in a way that's a bit too specific. Like if you're a tank, then you can only do tank things like hold down a button and walk forward, which would not have worked for this game at all. So it is reassuring they've stepped over that. Secondly, AoEs seem to be king in this game because you revive your friends not by pressing and holding a certain button, not by using a lifeline, no Fulton Express or any of that shit. You just smack them on the ass a couple times until they start breathing again. And that's wonderful news for the Wings of Salvation because your dive bomb shenanigans hands out enough damage to immediately revive a teammate if it's their first time down. It even provides an aura buff to teammates that reduces damage taken by a massive amount if you hold the ultimate button after landing, allowing even more time to revive in case the Cyclone didn't do enough damage. One of the only abilities in the game that does the fuck around and the find out all at once. It is just immensely difficult to make this move bad in any context. I don't think it can be done. There's just too many different perks you get out of it. I legitimately think the only way you could make this bad would be to intentionally just spike it into the fucking floor. Number 1, Restage. Listen to me, look me in the eye. Enjoy this shit while you fucking can. This is the boss shredder ability. If you want nightly boss fights to go quickly, you need a Duchess on your team, period. It's a little funny how we see things like this coming from miles away now. This shit's gonna get 5 nerfs in the first 2 weeks of the game, and it's still not gonna stop people from using it. I don't even think there's a way to nerf it without changing how the rest of the game works. Like, I think the ability itself is just conceptually too strong. Restage allows any damage taken by the enemy in the past 2 seconds to be replayed. Two full seconds. Do you have any idea how much time that is in a game like this? This is already radical amounts of damage, especially against stance-broken enemies, but this also highlights another change in Nightreign that wasn't in Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, if your friend was practicing their misbegotten shish kebab techniques, they'd be given a nice window of invincibility that prevents them from getting bullied too hard, continuing all the way up until when they fully stood back up. Nightreign? Nuh-uh. Nope, none of that. If an enemy is rendered still, stance broken, receiving a critical, checking its fucking mail, just under any conceivable context, you can and should be dealing damage to it. It doesn't even require any team coordination to know when to use it. Like if you see the boss suddenly just taking thousands of points of damage in the ass, then it's probably a good idea to use the ability. I've been thoroughly enjoying the strat of finding out whoever has the strongest build and just surgically attaching myself to them for the rest of the match, following them around, waiting for them to do something impressive, and then when it happens, I just take out my little pocket watch like it's time for some fucking tea, and the speed run just happens by itself. Best ability. You need a Duchess on your team.